And you're gonna have permissions if you need them.
Yeah. It's
And-
harder to share stuff on this iPad, but I'm in the waiting room.
Okay, and we'll also, oh, look at that roof view. Oh, very nice. We will, God, I look great today. How are you? Good. Yeah, damn. Look at how everyone's dressed today. Even Brian's dressed up today. Did you go to Princeton? Brian, did you go to Princeton? Well, then what are you doing with the Princeton tie?
Looks like Syracuse to me.
Random colors.
We'll let you slide. Look at Brian. It was just a screen of you.
Yeah.
And make sure our mics are off. Let everyone in, and then we'll start. 6:58. I'm going to make a speech about balloons briefly.
Between you and the White House.
Let's go live. Okay, our speakers are on.
Yeah.
Our mics are on?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. It is 7 p.m. on the 15th. My name is David McFadden. This is our regular meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Let's rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor McFadden,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Shaw,
Present.
Trustee Brooke,
Present.
Trustee Tasker,
Present.
Trustee Shara.
Absent. Okay, thank you very much. So before I begin my comments, our village clerk, Elizabeth, would like to say several things. Thank you.
Okay, so I just wanted to talk about Orange County Executive Stephen Newhouse named Sue Haywood as February Citizen of the Month recipient, which I thought was very nice. And Sue, of course, lives right here in the village of Tuxedo Park. They mentioned all sorts of things that she has done. They didn't mention all the work she did on our lakes, and probably has done other things too that I'm not aware of. But I was sort of proud for her that she was on the cover of the Photo News, and they had this nice picture of her. And congratulations to her.
And you're speaking for the board.
Thank you. And just one other quick note, we have the Tuxedo Bag Project, which is a project that was started by two young people here in the park, Solomon and Maddie. And they decided to try to collect these reusable shopping bags, and they donate them to the Sloatsburg Food Pantry. They started this about 16 months ago. They had the ambitious goal of collecting 1,000 reusable bags. 16 months later, they have collected over 3,000 bags, and the project is going strong, no end in sight. So we have a collection box here. There's also a box at St. Mary's, and there are others around. So please bring your reusable bags, fresh direct or anything, even brown paper bags or thin plastic bags, anything that can hold food, they'll take it. And they'd love to have them.
Excellent. Thank you very
Thank
much. This is a very busy time for the board. We are involved in the tax assessments as well as budgeting, which is underway. And I wanted to give a shout out to Denise. She's been doing a lot of work with the water department, and we're switching over to the sewer, which has put an extra workload on her. And also to Elizabeth. Been very helpful lately, especially with the website, in addition to her other tasks. So I wanted to make that very clear. Thank you. You're welcome. That said, Jeff, are you here? Why don't you have the floor, sir?
Here?
It's up to you.
Mike, if you like.
You could also, if you want to face the camera, John, can we get a camera on him or not?
I guess, just want to make sure I'm heard for folks who are joining us
That's the best
remotely.
place to be heard because of
Okay,
the
I'll
mic.
do this then.
Okay, great. We're good then.
Oh, thank you.
Ellen?
Shows the back a little bit.
All right, thank you so much. I am Jeff Campbell, and it's great to see you in person, be seen in person. I am the executive director of a nonprofit based here in New York. It's been in New York for about 27 years. I've been executive director for about 4.5. It's called the Center for Economic and Environmental Partnership, and I am the chosen local nonprofit partner to Jewel Assets, or Jewel Community Power, which is the state-approved community choice aggregation, or CCA, program administrator with which the village is engaged to explore this CCA program, as is the town of Tuxedo, as is about 24 other communities here just in the Hudson Valley. And more than 50 communities are in active CCA programs with Jewel as their administrator. And I just want to speak briefly tonight, just to be seen, and I'll reference meetings which we've had and will have where I will speak. I have spoken, I will speak at much greater length about what this is. But in a nutshell, this is a program that was enabled in New York State in 2016. It's focused on electricity supply. So, and it is something that communities, cities, towns, villages can do. Many have chosen to do so on behalf of their community members. So this is not something that just focuses on municipal buildings. This is for every resident, every small business, institutional, customer, library, schools, etc. All can take advantage of, to describe it in an analogy, a buying club for electricity supply. The name Community Choice Aggregation, it's communities aggregating their community members and often with other communities aggregating together for a new electricity supply choice. The crux of the program, the reason it's done, there's 3, potentially 4 that I like to emphasize from a very selfish perspective, reasons that the state enabled this and that communities pursue it. The idea is that through an aggregation, you form a buying club like a BJ's Wholesale or like Costco, where you have leverage as part of the aggregation for electricity supply rates. You do better in mass. And the reason I'm involved, working more than 30 years in the environmental field, is that that is a beautiful way that you can actually pay very competitive rates, if not less, for 100% renewable source electricity from New York State sources than you would otherwise pay for predominantly non-renewable produced electricity. So the leverage of the bulk aggregation gives you the ability to have a win-win scenario. You could actually pay the same or possibly less than you would pay for non-renewable production sources. The last and very important main element that we talk about that is really widely appreciated, and the reason the state enabled this is because of consumer protection. This builds on the same choices that individual utility customers have had available to them since the late 1990s in New York, when the electricity and gas markets were deregulated, meaning Orange and Rockland and all the other utilities since then are only delivery companies. And very important to note, this does not displace the role of Orange and Rockland. They have been and remain a delivery company. That means they do the billing, and our program would be a line item change on the Orange and Rockland bill. They do storm damage repair, they do customer service, all related to delivery of electricity. This is just something that people can do for individual choice, where they can enter into a contract with a private energy supply company like Ambit, Iridium, Green Mountain Energy, etc. This is an alternative. This is, and the reason that the consumer protection element is because many people, while they've had okay experiences or good experiences as in private contracts, many people have had bad experiences with those ESCO companies. Contracts that they entered into that were hard to get out of, that had fine print, they seemed like fixed rates, and then the rates actually varied significantly, ballooned up. There were strange fees to get out. So this is a very significant element of why the state enabled it and why many communities feel very good about entering into this, because they act to optimize choices offered to their community members in an additional choice, which anybody can reject at any time. Anybody can opt out at any time if the program launches. And it is transparent, no weird fees, and it's for a fixed period of time. It'll be for a fixed contract. That's the description of the program. I'll just speak for another minute or two just about the timeline. Working backwards, we hope on the timeline we're working on right now that we will have a live program with a rate available to community members in probably late summer or the fall of this year. Working backwards, that would mean that letters, if we are successful in a request for proposals, which would go out prior to the letters, would result in a program description fully described in letters that would be sent out to every eligible customer who's in the opt-out condition. And that would be if we are successful in a request for proposals led by Jewel for a number of communities, including for the town of Tuxedo, whereby we seek a rate, electricity rate for our focus. It will ask for 100% renewable and hope that that is the default choice for each community that we work with. And then if it is acceptable to the communities who have a voice in the development of the request for proposals, if a proposal comes back from a supplier that is acceptable, then we will proceed on the schedule discussed, with letters being sent out to all eligible customers in the summer and a live program in late summer or early fall. My only ask is that people be aware of this program. That's what my nonprofit does. We had a wonderful gathering at the library on February 9th, had very good attendance. We will be back at the library on the 4th. I'm very glad to be here tonight. I will return whenever you have me, but we will also be on a Zoom meeting hosted by the town's Climate Smart Communities Task Force tomorrow evening. And I have flyers, additional copies too. Very happy to leave them behind. And just any advice and any guidance and assistance, Elizabeth, thank you for all your help so far. And spreading the word is all we seek. And I'll stop there and take questions.
Thank you, Jeff. Also, for anyone that is interested in finding out more of those dates, it's posted on the website on the front page under Village News and Announcements, CCA Community Choice Aggregation. I'll open the floor up for questions, both to the trustees as well as people in the audience and people on Zoom. Yes, sir.
Who gets paid? Who gets paid? He works for a nonprofit.
You're welcome to talk directly to the source.
I'm sorry.
It's a very good question. So if we are successful and the program goes live, for the electricity supply portion of the program, it would mean you would have one single rate that would be on the bill in the supply charges section. That is a rate offered by the suppliers. One supplier would be selected. That single rate, which would be some number of cents per kilowatt hour, includes everything. It's the rate that people pay multiplied by their kilowatt hours for whatever amount of usage they have that month. When the suppliers bid, it includes in what is, last time I checked, an 0.08 of a cent per kilowatt hour administration fee that Jewel and my organization use to implement the program. Prior to a live program, there is no exchange of dollars. And at no point in time does the village or town or any municipalities pay anything for the program, not through the exploration phase and not in a live program. Everything is included in that administrative fee. And we do this in the hopes and the expectations that it will work. So that's how these organizations get paid.
So in other words, the taxpayer is not putting up anything.
No, nothing.
I think you were getting there, right?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you said Orange American is just a delivery company. Where do they get their electricity?
They, on a monthly basis, or really on almost a minute by minute basis, but it rolls up to an average rate for them. They negotiate with suppliers for whatever demands of the people that are in the original opt-out conditions. So they'll obtain that, put simply, on a monthly basis from a number of suppliers.
What do you mean by suppliers?
Well, the way it's deregulation established a condition where they're not allowed to own the generation sources. And there are, because of that, individual companies that own the generation sources, nuclear power plants, gas power plants, solar fields, et cetera, et cetera. Some of those companies act directly to sell their product, the electrons, the commodity, and secondary market aspects directly to the utilities, but there are many, many middlemen companies, and those are the ones that we call the energy supply companies, or the ESCOs. There are, I think the last time we checked, about 75 plus registered in New York State. So any one of those can be the companies that we will offer to bid to be our supplier. And those are the companies that the utility company works with on a monthly basis to obtain the supply that they need from various sources. And on a monthly basis, there's only about 10% of their total mix of sourcing is renewable based. Predominantly for all the utilities, it's predominantly fossil based or nuclear.
So what you want is ESCO to be more solar?
We'll choose an ESCO that can be based anywhere, that, they can have a headquarters in Texas or cetera, but by requirement of our contract, they have to enter into agreement with producers in New York State. And for us, we want them to enter into producers that are producing 100% renewable generated power. That's either, it's in reverse order of the way we've been doing it, hydropower, environmentally sensitive hydropower, wind power, or solar power. Those are the only three that you will allow us into the program.
So the only people involved dollar-wise is Jewel and your company.
Jewel and I serve as the administration support team, and then we will select collectively a supplier with the other partner communities. And collectively, that's the team.
Do you mean we will be in that decision tree, or that's something you do?
Nope, it's even in design of the RFP, Jewel will send you the supply agreement and discuss the elements of the RFP. So that you're ready for if and when the RFP is issued, and when proposals come back, Jewel will bring a representative or representatives from each of the partner communities to make a decision amongst the offers that come in.
How much does the state get involved?
The state oversees this program. It's not a state program, but it was enabled by the Public Service Commission, which oversees all utilities, phone, everything. It was enabled by them in 2016, and they have structural program requirements. For example, any administrator has to file an implementation plan that demonstrates how they will comply with the CCA order, the Community Choice Aggregation order that they issued. And they have oversight to make sure that that compliance takes place. For example, they need to approve the elements, the naming of the program, the outreach efforts. They want to make sure that there was a robust effort to build awareness before a program launches. So they serve in an oversight role.
Wouldn't that be taxable for us to pay taxes for their to?
It fits within their mission, their broader mission. So I don't think there's a separate line charge for the oversight of this program, but they see that this fits within the mission of what they're trying to achieve.
Anyone else? John, anyone have their hand up in the Zoom call? Okay. Jeff, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
The program numbers on the bottom of the flyers too. So if folks have calls, can call us to ask questions at any time. So thank you so much.
Terrific. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. Thank you.
Okay, so this is for you, Brian. I'm going to continue the public hearing on March 15th. Do I need to open and close the public hearing first?
Yeah, you should open it and then continue.
Okay. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees open the continued public hearing on draft local law number 7, revising the lake laws related to dock size. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now should I extend it before closing it?
We should extend
If
it.
I continue, should I continue it and make a date before
Yeah,
closing it?
Continue it to a specific date.
Okay. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees continue the public hearing on March 15th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Village Hall. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees close the public hearing.
No,
Oh, no.
That's it. You continue.
I'm done.
We're good.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, reports. Chief? Thank you, Brian.
You got it.
We have 239 calls for service last month, 1 motor vehicle accident. We issued 15 traffic tickets, 20 warnings, 6 fire calls, which includes alarms, 1 burglary alarm call. We assisted the town of Tuxedo Police 1 time. They assisted us 1 time. Our patrol miles were approximately 2,623 miles. And unfortunately, the LPR that gives us the count of vehicles coming in They upgraded their server, so we don't have access to that data at this time.
Okay.
I just want to remind everybody about the opt-out for the no soliciting. Mayor, you put out an email and it prompted several people to respond, but I just want to put it out there that if you don't want Jehovah Witnesses or anybody else knocking on your door, you need to get on this list. That's it.
Very good. Thank you. Jeff?
We installed a new exterior light at the water plant, the entrance to the building. We picked up Christmas trees and sticks and branches after heavy winds. We put a new photo cell on the spotlight for the flag at the front gate. It stayed on all the time, so we put a new one on there. Been doing more work at the police station, installed a new floor in Denise's office and painted the office for her. And then we did a lot of, there was a lot of water damage before the roof was replaced, so that's been repaired and patched and painted. We installed a permanent spotlight at the arch of the lodge. Salted roads a couple of times, January 23rd and January 25th. Worked with Nelson Tree Service on some tree removals. Washed and cleaned the trucks and vehicles at the DPW. We made a repair to the edge of East Lake Road, actually by Trustee Brooks' house, where the edge sort of gave way. We built it up with boulders and backed it up with some earth. We did some gutter work on Clubhouse Road and Westlake Stable Road. Cleaned drains and catch basins, worked on trucks, water and sewer, obtained weekly meter readings on village meters, did various markouts for dig safe water and sewer markouts. Worked on water meter repairs, continued with the meter installs for irrigation and wells. We cleared a sewer blockage at 116 Tower Hill Road. Replaced air blow-offs on the unit heaters at the water plant. Installed a new GFI outlet in the office at the sewer plant. Installed a new sludge pump in one of the clarifiers at the sewer plant. And obtained water readings that Denise requested from time to time.
No overtime snow plowing?
No, thank God.
That's a first. Jeff, thank you very much for this hard work. The diversity of your team allows us to do a lot of things that we would otherwise have to go out and pay for. So the benefit to the taxpayers is numerous. Thank you. John, would you like to go?
Sure. We've had 2 or 3 CVO requests over the last month. They're in the process of being finalized. 2 violations currently ongoing, Genesis Real Estate Partners LLC. There's been no progress with the violation cited over a year ago, and they did not appear at the January Justice Court hearing. Also, Mr. Urmansky at 182 Tower Hill Road, working with him and his contractor to rebuild a historic old pier that was knocked down a number of years ago. All the projects underway or seem to be going well. The Page project, Rifkin, Klein, Ramos, Lynch and Pomerantz all seem to be going well, and no problems there. I did meet with the new bar members to go over some of the new plans that are before the bar. Did some site visits with them to bring them up to date on some of the projects that were heard at the February 2nd meeting. We got some additional light bulbs for Orange and Rockland to maintain some of the existing light fixtures that we have on the streets. And as you may recall, last month I reported that O&R is giving us 4 LED fixtures this year. We just have to let them know where we would like those fixtures installed.
How do you recommend we do that? I mean, should we ask Jeff and the chief to give us some locations?
Good.
It's probably the best thing to do.
Good.
Is that all right with you guys? Obviously, safety is a concern.
Well,
Okay.
these are replacement fixtures. So
Replacement. So these would be where existing are now. Look, it's still, let's have you guys pick.
So the Weewa Dam, we did get a brief email back from Michael Quinn, who was the engineer who was responsible for managing that reconstruction of the dam a couple years ago. He's advised us that we should seek engineering help for some of the problems and we should replace the broken parts with new parts. Jeff and I don't feel that's the best long-term option, so we need to have some more discussion regarding that. Just in brief, there's some universal joints that are involved with the shaft that allows us to open and close the control valve. Those shafts, even though they were covered with a rubber boot, they rusted prematurely and they broke the last time that we tried.
They were not stainless steel, right?
The shafts on the outside of the universal joint are stainless steel, but the cross mechanism inside was regular steel. And while these universal joints are not submerged in water, there's always dampness and spray in that general area, which I'm certain led to their premature failure. So we need to have a meeting offline to discuss how we're going to handle that. We may want to involve Mr. Nugent because there's an engineering issue here that it really is not lasting as long as we would think. Let's see, Auctions International. You may remember we posted several more items on the auction site last month. The auction ended on January 30th, and those items are scheduled to be picked up tomorrow. And we have already received $9,363.50 for items that we either weren't using or didn't need. So hopefully they'll all get picked up tomorrow. Let's see. That's the brunt of it. I've been working with two contractors to try to get estimates on expanding Wi-Fi at the Weewa Park and Beach, and we also reported a handful of wires that were either hanging low or disconnected to Verizon and Optimal. That's the brief report.
Any movement on the O&R removal of telephone poles?
Yes, I got an email from him yesterday. I think they're waiting for Verizon and/or probably Verizon to disconnect a few more wires. So when they come back, they'll do them in one.
Now, I also understand that Cablevision is in the park installing 5G, correct? And we have, I wasn't informed that they were going to do that. They just started doing it.
No,
right?
I heard they were updating their wiring, and I guess that's the 5G.
We haven't had any problems, have we?
Yes, we do.
Do you want to wait till comments?
No, if you want.
Please.
Okay, well, we had them come to our house and park in our driveway, pretty close, not just by the road. And they went up into the telephone pole and two of them were walking all over our property with wiring. Now that wiring is still all over our property. They've done nothing about it. Jack went up to find out what they were doing, no name on the truck, no telephone number on the truck. And they turned around and said, don't speak English, two of them. And we had no idea who they were. I called the police and they didn't know who they were and how they got in the park. I called John, he didn't know anything about it. So I want to know how they get in. Since nobody knew them and they didn't speak English.
Legit.
Well, I'll add a little bit to it. I went up to see these two fellows who were working. I said, what are you doing with my wires? And one of them said, I speak no English. And so I walked over to the other guy. And he said, don't bother with him. He doesn't speak English either. I said, gee, you learned English in about a minute and a half. And the annoying part is they continued working. And so then I knew it wasn't the biggest thing that ever happened to me. So I walked back into the house. And then Ord said, wait a minute, these guys, we don't know who they are. No, the truck had nothing on it to indicate where they were from. And we didn't know about all the, so I called the gate and Johnson said to me, he explained what it was. He said, there's a million, not a million, but he said about the trucks. But there wasn't a lot of word out about
But
it.
he didn't know who they
Nobody
were.
knew about it.
How did they get in?
So what happens is Cablevision subcontracts with with other companies, and obviously they don't tell us. Are these the ones coming through the north gate? Are they parked
No.
out? That's not them parked out there? So then they gotta be coming in through the main gate, and, you know, they must be telling
They
the
have a
officers.
New Jersey license plate, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, Cablevision subcontracts it out to different contractors. But if you know, if they come to the gate and they say they're here to replace cable wire, you know, we let them in.
Right. Well, these guys didn't speak English, so they couldn't tell.
So, well,
anybody.
somebody had to, yeah.
Chief, do you feel that our security was at risk?
I don't, because like I said, for them to get into the gate, they're telling the officers, and a lot of our officers speak
Spanish?
enough Spanish to
Mhm, mhm.
to
But
get
but in
by.
this case, these guys continued to work while I was talking.
All right, well, look, I think that you have a legitimate concern and complaint. Let's take it offline.
Sue the mayor and his.
Let's take this offline. You can have a discussion with the chief at your leisure, and we'll make sure we figure this out. I also would like, John, if you can, to contact the cable company and ask them,
I did.
Okay,
I got
good.
nowhere.
and we'll see if we can, get an idea of how long this is going to last. And then we'll put out a bulletin to the residents.
And Officer Serene, who did respond out there?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he did identify he got their IDs.
well, finally.
No, he came to our house, I let him in the house.
All right, guys, let's take this offline so we can continue with the meeting,
Right.
because everyone else here has their own concerns as well. Thank you. But you have a legit complaint. Thanks for bringing it up. Okay. John and the chief, I want to also thank you for the hard work over the last couple of months. It's been extraordinary. And we really appreciate it. You're welcome. Okay. Anyone have any questions about the minutes? There's a lot of minutes. You all checked them out? Okay. Let's move on to the public comment period, please. Anyone care to make a comment? Sure. Go ahead, Audrey.
I just was interested in knowing why Tinka was voting against the 3-year bid for solar for renewables. I agree with you that why 100% for 3 years? Why not find out what it's like? I mean, I thought the town said they were going to do 50%. Am I correct in that?
I don't know what the town was doing.
I can share some new information on that topic, though.
Okay.
It turned out that some of the calculations that we were originally working with were incorrect, and the savings would not be borne out. So we're not pursuing it.
We're not pursuing what now? 3-year, 100%?
Or any year,
Or any year?
correct. There was not the benefit that we thought there was.
Oh,
It appears that the rates that were being charged are fairly competitive already. So
This was after that vote was taken.
okay.
And actually, I should have mentioned that we can correct the minutes next time. Next month, I'll correct those minutes because there's a follow-up on that. Right. Thank you for bringing that up. Gosh, you're hitting them home today. All right. Anyone else? Any hands up?
Mayor, I have a comment, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
But Christopher had his hand up.
Oh.
Sorry.
Who's Christopher?
Christopher Gow has had his hand up.
Okay, hold on one sec, Claudia. We'll get to you next. Mr. Gow.
He has to unmute.
Okay, we'll go on to you, Claudia. And if Christopher gets it together, we'll go back to him. Go ahead.
Just did.
Great. First of all, thank you for doing a great job. Today, I received 10, 12 emails and, a lot of rumors flying around. And I said, no, it's not the mayor. The mayor does everything above board. He's a good guy, very transparent as far as I'm concerned. There's number 12 on the agenda. It says resolve to approve a letter granting preliminary approval to connect to village sewer.
Correct.
A number of people out there think it's you trying to connect or try to backfill the connection of your boathouse to the village sewer. And I said it cannot be that. So I just want to hear it out of the horse's mouth. Please tell them it's not you.
You can be proud of yourself, and I appreciate you sticking up for me because that is not true.
There you go. And can we know who it is, or it's
Yeah, we'll be
just,
getting to it. Yeah, absolutely. We'll share that with you when we get to it in
Great.
the consent.
I didn't
Thank you,
think
though.
so, and thank you so much for saying that.
Knowing you have my back makes me feel better.
I know. Nobody else does.
All right, any other comments? Christopher,
Hi there. Yeah, good evening.
good
Just want
evening.
A quick report from the Tree Advisory Board. We met with Denise Tavani at the Weewa Beach Club and determined which trees need to be dead trees from the Emerald Ash Borer need to be taken down
Thank you.
by the DPW. And we discussed the Arbor Day is coming up on April the 28th. So we're just starting to discuss the idea of having a tree planting event to replace the trees so that the natural shade comes back, because obviously that's important during the summertime. And together with the TPS school, because we had a very successful planting of the trees right by the village office with them. So hopefully watch out for your calendars for that, April the 28th. On March the 19th, we're co-hosting an event with the Tuxedo Park, the Tuxedo Library, the Author's Circle with Tony Hiss about protecting our home, our big home, meaning the planet. So he's the author of Rescue the Planet. So that's March the 19th. And the third date we'd like to establish is when we could ask for the DPW to do the annual mowing of the Racetrack Nature Preserve before it gets, while the ground is still frozen, so it's easier to do.
Mhm. Thank you, by the way, for meeting with Denise. Do you have any particular flowering trees in mind that we might be able to put in there?
Yes, I think, the Sweet Bay Magnolia smells so good as well as flowers and has great shade. The redbud, Eastern redbud is another fabulous native because the buds come out, the blossoms come out before the leaves. So you get this early effect. Witch hazel as well. You get some late blooming in November, December. So you'll get some bloom in an extended season instead of just in the spring.
Terrific, thank you. And by the way, I think it'd be great to do that with the Tuxedo Park School again. That was something that we put on the newsletter. It worked out great. So thank you very much. Anyone else?
And so we have your permission for the annual mowing.
Like last time, I'll leave that to John and Jeff to work out.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. Yes, Audrey.
I just wanted to know about the Hickory Hollow, I didn't understand that they are no longer part of the town. Are they part of the village? Are they want village sewer?
Okay, so this goes to what Claudia was referencing here on the agenda. Approving a letter granting preliminary approval to connect to the village sewer. As we discussed at the last meeting, we were approached by the owner of that property. And based on the fact that the town has rezoned the area for commercial use and others, the owner of that property is considering developing that property. That would be all under the town's permits, et cetera, unless there's some sort of a secret issue that we would be involved in as a second agency. But the closest sewer is available from the village. So they would become sewer customers of the village at their own expense.
What do they do now for water? Wells?
Well, they only have one bathroom for the employees of the store of the nursery. So they probably have a
They have
septic system, I would guess.
and they do get
Town
water.
sewer system only goes I think it only goes up to the village, entrance to the village. It doesn't go any.
Right. So if let's say they were gonna put in a strip mall, they would have to have a lot more sewer capacity. And that would give new income to the village.
What if it's not something like that? What if it's just a religious organization, which we seem to have so much of already, and they don't pay taxes?
Well, that wouldn't be up to us. It's up to the town, what to approve there.
You still have to pay a sewer bill.
Right, not taxes.
Yeah, they still pay.
As far as we're concerned, they're paying a sewer
Yeah,
bill.
they're still paying a sewer bill, but right now, isn't Hickory Hollow paying taxes as well for their property
They are to the town.
to the town?
Mhm.
So they would continue paying to the town unless it's an organization like we already have.
Yes, and it could be a significantly higher amount.
Okay, yeah, it could be, but to give approval before he's even sold it, that's what I'm.
We're not giving any approval.
Oh, you're
before,
not.
no, we're telling him he can move. We're telling him that we would be willing to allow him to apply and that we were granted if it met all sorts of certain conditions. And I have a copy of that letter available. Is the letter on the website?
I don't
I
know.
didn't see it.
Okay. Do we have a copy of that letter available? I'll read it into the record.
I think the letter indicates that the existing owner may connect in,
Right.
but that does not grant transfer of ownership
Correct.
to a third party, so that were they to try to transfer such property, that transfer would have to go before us to approve the connection.
So we could go before us.
So we
and not just the
maintain
town.
the right
Correct.
to make that tie. So this is a preliminary approval to an existing person, and it's a town property, so they pay nothing to us. If they hook up, there would be some modest incremental revenues, because it's substantially more.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay, comment period is over. Let's go through the consent. Any of the trustees have any questions about items A through F?
None for me.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead then and be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the consent agenda, items A through E. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, old business. Let's, could we get a copy of that letter? Brian, if you have one, do you want to?
I had trouble finding a copy. That's why I
Mhm.
didn't.
The sewer letter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember getting it from me? Okay. Does anyone have a copy available? Okay. Let me go to my email. Brian, if you get it, let me know.
I don't know if I have the latest version. You have number 3 on there about the.
I do, yeah. Did any of the trustees have any questions about the letter or concerns? Okay, I'll produce the letter. We'll go ahead and move through the meeting. We'll put it on the website. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve a letter granting preliminary approval to connect to the village sewer to the current owner of the property, Hickory Hollow. May I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. New business. Now, we have another season for the WeWa. We're very excited. And we'd like to bring back the same team that manages the lifeguards. I sent out the agreement to everyone, and Chris brought up a question of running it by the attorney. That's exactly what we're going to do. We'll run it by Brian, and if he approves, I'd like the authority to sign the agreement. Any questions? Okay. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the Arch Amenities Group, New York State Pool, WeWa, Park, and Beach Club Lifeguard Management Contract for the 2023 season. And the mayor has permission to sign that agreement if the village attorney approves. And if there's any substantial change, I'll come back to the board. You have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Brian, do you have anything on the body cam?
No, just as an accepting a $6,000 grant from the New York State Department of Criminal Justice Services. So,
Right, and do we have a resolution for that?
Yeah, should have the wording in there just to accept that grant.
It's in that pile that I gave you.
Mhm. Where?
It's the one that's right in front of you that you're looking at.
This one?
Here, this one.
Aha. Oh, why is it so long, Brian? No. I'm gonna not do all the whereas, okay? The resolution is resolution authorizing acceptance of grant for body worn camera funding. Before I do that, do you want to explain, Chief, what that is?
Yeah, so I applied for this grant a few months ago, and we were just received a letter that we were awarded the grant. We currently have 2 body cameras that were purchased and donated to us by the district attorney's office last year when we first got them. But we have a lot of officers, and 2 body cameras, going around all those officers, I didn't feel was enough. too much wear and tear. So I applied for the grant, we received it, we'll be able to buy additional body cameras, and at least the 3 full-timers will, officers will be issued their own so that they aren't used as much. And then the part-time officers on the weekends can then share the other 2 that were donated to us.
Thank you, Chief. So this is simply a resolution to accept that grant, which we need to do. So I'll just read the final. Whereas the village desires to utilize such grant monies in order to enhance its body worn camera capabilities to improve police officer interactions with the public. Now, therefore, it is resolved as follows. Section 1. The above whereas clauses are incorporated herein as if set forth in full. Section 2. The village board hereby accepts and approves the receipt of the $6,000 in grant funds from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services for the implementation of body worn camera units. Section 3, the mayor, police chief, or any officer, employee, or consultant as directed by the mayor is hereby authorized to execute any documents necessary to effectuate the receipt of such grant monies. And Section 4, this resolution shall be effective immediately. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want to add here or at the end, but we received that grant from.
Right, okay,
County.
we discussed it. We don't have anything prepared for that right now.
Oh.
You're referring to we just
leak
received a grant. Yeah, who applied for that? Was that you, John?
Yes.
John applied for a grant from Orange County to contribute to the expenses the village taxpayers incur by looking for leaks in the water and sewer system. And so thank you, John, for that. And we will be doing a similar resolution on that. Okay. Where are we?
So we're approving that independent of having the hard copy of the resolution because it's.
We're not gonna, we'll do it when we have a resolution. Unless, Brian, you want to do a quick resolution on that. This seems pretty complicated to get done in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll table that for now. Okay, let's go over the Weston and Sampson products, everyone. Has everyone had a chance to read them? Anyone have any questions or concerns? Okay, so the Board of Trustees, be it resolved, the Board of Trustees permits the mayor to sign these documents where required and move forward with Weston and Sampson on these projects. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Elizabeth, would you like to take this one? Because I know you went out and got 3 prices.
So every year, I invite somebody to come to do some shredding for us because we had a lot of boxes of papers that needed to be disposed of, and it's good to do it on an annual basis. And then I invite the community residents to come and to join us if they want that, because there's always plenty of room for the residents to come.
At no charge.
At no charge. And I usually pick the day closest to Earth Day. This year, Earth Day is on a Saturday, so I picked Friday, the 21st. And this is what I came up with. I have one company that will, the cheapest, they'll do it for $405 up to 50 boxes, and then it would be $60 for every 10 boxes extra. That's a very good price, $405. However, they don't tell you when they're going to be here until the day before, and they give you a window of like 2 hours. They come, they shred, and they go. So we could do it, but people would have to drop off their boxes ahead of time. I'm not sure if people feel comfortable with that. They have confidential information. I think they usually like to watch it being shredded so they know it's going right in there and no harm will come to it. But that's one option. The next is, first of all, they can only come a week later, the 28th, which is not a big deal. They'll stay for 1 hour and it's $600 for 50 boxes, and then you'd pay more for the extras, which I don't really anticipate. I can always hold back on mine if there's any issue with us running out of the 50 or going over it. So that's the other option, $600 for 1 hour only. And then the other is 3 hours and it's $1,200, and they'll take everything. But they're here for a whole 3 hours, so you can just come at your leisure and get your shredding.
Are you recommending the second one?
I just feel like I don't have a strong preference for it. It doesn't matter to me.
What happened last year? How many residents came? How
We never
much?
get that many residents. We get, maybe between 5 and 10. We never get that many,
Yeah.
but people do ask they've already asked for it. And we can skip it, but I have boxes that I need to have shredded, so,
Yeah, no, it strikes me because it's not a huge consumer
no, it isn't.
resident demand. It's
That's true.
principally for your convenience.
That's exactly right.
And therefore, it strikes me the 405,
You want to go with the
the cheapest
cheapest?
one is adequate. Certainly we don't need the 1200.
Brian, I think we're obligated to take the lowest bid, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, because you're not talking about the same service here. One is, hey, I'm gonna show up and let you
Right.
know. So if you
Mhm.
felt like you wanted to know when they
Mhm.
were coming,
Mhm.
you don't have to go with that, but you certainly can if it works for the village
Mhm.
and, you're mostly dealing with village documents.
Right. I'd be willing to do, and I'm throwing this out for discussion. If we do the one where we at least have a window of time,
1 hour.
make sure we get the word out.
Yeah.
And if it's not worth doing, we'll know how to move forward in the future. And it'll only cost us $200. What do you guys think?
That's the middle one.
That was the middle one, 600.
405 is 2 hours.
No, 405 is they come in, they shred, they go.
Okay, so it's got to be dropped here in advance.
Exactly.
Okay,
Or I can call you when they're pulling up, which I don't mind doing.
What do you think, Paul?
I don't have any strong feeling. I mean, I don't, shredders are so inexpensive. Most people who are concerned about having confidential shred it at home
Mm-hmm.
and then throw it in the trash. So I don't think
Mm-hmm.
it's a material community service.
Right. However, people have asked about it. So why don't we, my suggestion, we do it one more time. And if it works well,
I'm
we'll keep doing it, but otherwise,
$200 I'm pretty indifferent.
yeah. All right.
But the answer is, I think if a resident wants stuff shredded and they can drop it in advance with a caveat that they shouldn't put confidential stuff in there,
Thanks,
it's
Jeff.
fine, but it's whatever you want. I mean, whatever your recommendation is, I'll defer to you.
I'd go for the 1 hour one. I think that's the best compromise.
The first one.
Second,
Okay. What's that company name?
it is on-site confidential.
Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve on-site confidential to implement shredding on shredding day, April 21st. May I have a second? All in favor? Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, I'm going to turn this over to Chris. Item E.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everybody. In December, Governor Hochul passed an opt-in law that would allow municipalities to pass their own local laws to exempt volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers 10% off their property tax assessment, with a whole lot of requirements in between. So I'm asking the board tonight to pass a resolution to schedule a public hearing and authorize Brian to draft a local law that would grant that exception to ambulance workers and volunteer firefighters who live and own property in the village of Tuxedo Park.
And where are we in terms of paperwork and moving forward with an actual resolution tonight?
All we need to do is
Yeah, at this
schedule a
point,
public
If
hearing.
you want to consider it, you would set a public hearing. We would provide you with a draft law. The standard law, so to speak, if you want to adopt all provisions, is a 10% exemption.
Mhm.
They have to apply for it directly and then they have to be.
Right, I think it's a very positive thing.
Yeah,
for the
and then there's
community.
also provisions for lifetime members, if they've been on
Mhm.
20 years, or if somebody gets killed in the line of duty
Mhm.
after 5 years. So I can give you a draft with all those things. If you don't like something,
Mhm.
you're not stuck with 10%. It's up to the
Mhm.
village board.
Mhm.
You can go up to 10%.
All right, do you gentlemen recommend that we put this on the agenda for next month or the following month?
I think next month,
I
it's
mean,
not
I
very
have those
complicated.
already. We've done another municipality, so that's not an
Yeah.
issue. So
Good, no charge for rehashing on a draft. That's great. Appreciate that. Taxpayers appreciate that.
Take care of you.
Right, so the only question is whether you or it circulates what the conditions are.
Mhm.
Because-
Right.
Because that's, That's sort of the only issue. Other than that, it's a perfect.
Yeah, and by the way, they have to get that exemption, they have to be from your village and serve your village. They can't just be a fireman that works for, let's say, Monroe.
Well, that's interesting. So that would include the 3 fire departments here, though,
Yes.
You have-
that currently group together.
That live in your village. so.
Yeah, so there's 2 members that live in the village of Tuxedo Park. One is a member of Tuxedo Park Fire Department, and one is a member of Sterling Forest.
Mhm.
This
Terrific.
If this is their primary residence and the fire district says they are active enrolled members,
Then they're eligible.
then they're eligible.
Mhm.
And there's a list.
So they have
of
to pass muster
requirements.
with their own
Yes.
application and everything
And
else
the
as well.
department itself has to certify them.
And-
to you that they're a
Okay.
member.
And I will also add, I sat in the fire commissioners meeting last Monday or
Mhm.
Monday before that. They are also a taxing district and they are also, they have already set a public hearing so they can
Okay.
give their own
Yeah, I
decision.
think
So they're
it's fine.
following
Yeah.
what.
All right,
they're
great.
asking.
So why don't you set the public hearing then for,
Is it just the owner of the house that is entitled to it, or the one who pays the taxes, or would the son who's working?
No, you have to be the owner of the house, primary residence and member. No, yeah.
like, you can't adopt Chris to get out of your taxes. That's what I'm saying. I love the idea, though. You guys are on fire tonight. You're on fire. All right. No pun intended. All right. So, Chris, would you call that?
Yeah,
public
what date's our next meeting?
It's the 15th of March.
Okay, so be resolved that the Board of Trustees schedules a public hearing March 15th at 7 PM for,
Consider a local law for exemptions for firefighters and ambulance volunteers under real property tax law 466A.
Take
Can I
it.
just interrupt for 1 second? The continuation of local law number 7 was at 7, so is it?
No, it's just, well, they're all at 7. It's fine.
Okay.
Well, no,
Is
yeah,
there a-
so no, you're in 23 now, so even though you might have numbers from
I'm just
22,
talking about the time.
when you file it, it's gonna have to be,
Right, I'm just talking about the time.
There's no conflict.
oh, time wise? No, don't worry about
They all start at
that. We
7.
always say 7, the notice
Right.
should be 7 o'clock or soon thereafter.
Right.
Sorry. Thank you.
I accept that, and I would like to call a roll if I can have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for your work that you put in on that. Appreciate it. And your volunteerism at the fire department. All right, let's see. We have this Orange County intermunicipal agreement. Brian, would you like to explain that to everyone, please?
You have actually, what you'll probably feel is an overly long resolution on that one, that we drafted. So this one, I think, is you're accepting, I don't know if it's in front of me, accepting the funds.
Would you like to see it?
This is for what has to be referred to the,
Oh, the GML. So
Right.
what this does is, when you have a land use application, typically in certain circumstances, you have to refer it to the county planning department. So if there's an amendment to your zoning law, or if you have an application within 500 feet of certain county, roads, rivers, things like that, you send it over to Orange County Planning. They have 30 days to review it, and then they send it back with their comments, and there's a whole process. What the county is doing is, there's a lot of submissions they get that they just don't consider of concern to the county. They're what they call local concern. So this agreement basically lessens the list of things that you'll have to send over to the Orange County Planning Department. So there's no harm or impact on the village, and if you really wanted to, you could still send it. But this agreement says that the items that are in that agreement don't need to be sent over to the county because they consider them matters of
So there's
local
going to be
concern.
cases rolling forward where we won't have to do that before an application might be approved here.
Right, where if you didn't have this agreement under the statute, you have to send everything over there
Okay.
for their review.
Right.
Sounds like a no-brainer.
Sounds
Yeah, I mean, it's
perfect for us then.
makes life easier.
Okay, the name of this resolution is Resolution Authorizing Village Mayor to execute agreement with the Orange County Department of Planning regarding GML referrals. Now therefore be it resolved that Section 1, the above whereas clauses are hereby incorporated by reference as those set forth in full herein. I love that one. That's my favorite. Section 2, the village mayor is hereby authorized to execute the agreement with the Orange County Department of Planning substantially in the form annexed hereto as approved by the village board and village legal counsel. Section 3, the village mayor and any employee, official, or consultant as directed by the village mayor are authorized to take any and all necessary actions to carry out the provisions of this resolution. And section 4, this resolution shall be effective immediately. Any questions? May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Oh,
Aye.
Thank you. Audit of claims.
So we have two. For the general fund, it's $248,814.72. And for the water fund, the claims total $120,861.02.
And is this separate from the budget transfers?
That's correct.
All right, would you like to do the resolution?
Be it resolved that the board approve the general fund claims, the amount of $248,814.72, and the claims from the water fund in the amount of $120,861.02.
Does the board have any questions? Is everyone set to vote? May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Budget transfers.
They are posted on the website. I don't know if you want me to read them all. There's about 20.
No, you don't have to do that.
Okay.
Um,
So it just says posted.
Before we proceed with the vote, do any of the trustees have any questions? Or I know that you might want to comment, you reviewed them
Yeah, I reviewed the claims. Yeah. They-
and you recommend that we approve them?
Yeah, the transfers, yes.
Aren't you lucky?
No, thank you.
All right, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the budget transfers that are currently posted on the website and have been reviewed by Deputy Mayor and Budget Director, Trustee and Deputy Mayor Tinka Shaw. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We really appreciate your attendance at the meeting. All your comments are very helpful. And at this point, I'd like to move into our executive session, which is a private meeting. And we will be coming back into the public session if you would like to stay around on Zoom in the waiting room, or come back and return to the Village Hall. So be it resolved that the Board of Trustees exit the regular meeting and enter into executive session at 7:59 PM to discuss an employee and legal matter and water accounts. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Questions?
You want to call them back in? Or,
Chief, would you like to stay for the first portion, please?
Before you go to two things to sign, okay?
Sure.
Thank you.
Are the Weston Sampson stuff in there?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you.
Years ago.
Oh, okay.
He's our favorite.
Yeah, just let me in, yeah, I just.
Thank you, Father.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I was going to, but then we were on part-time and you know,
Oh, that's,
I will return your call.
He's entitled to it. The meeting's over.
All right, you're in.
absolutely. I can't believe someone said that you're part-time or not here. That's ridiculous.
Well,
No, that's not
so-
fair. That's not fair.
All right.
You just made a lousy comment. This is my wife, okay?
Oh, no, there must be a misunderstanding. I don't know. There must be a misunderstanding. I don't know what you're talking about, honestly.
I know what I'm talking
No, I didn't mean anything disparaging at all. I love you guys. Seriously. There's a little confusion. Don't worry. I can't win sometimes. What was that all about?